Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be. Welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast. On a day, I am so happy. I'm so happy. Hopefully there will be no negative vibes this evening, because unless you've been living under a rock for the past, 3 or 4 hours, Arsenal have confirmed the signing of Alexandre Lacazette. He is now a Gooner. It has taken us 1,783 days to replace Robin van Persie. I'm absolutely delighted. Judge, how are you? What's the feelings?
Ah, it's fantastic. Wimbledon started and Arsenal have made a signing while Wimbledon's on. It's never happened before. It's always when the US Open's on in September. But here we are. We've made a signing while Wimbledon's on. It's unbelievable, and I have to say, a good one at that, Craig. A good one at that.
As we were just saying before we came on air, the salt from the tears of the opposing fans tastes absolutely delicious.
Fantastic.
Joining us this evening, very good friend of mine and a very good friend of the podcast, Colin from MutchArsenal. Colin.
Give us a smile, Colin, please.
Listen, what are you saying, Colin?
I'm beyond happy with this. Like, in fact, the last time I was this happy was when Alexis signed. That's being honest with you right there. But in terms of Lacazette, mate, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm not happy with this. I'm fucking buzzing with this. And all I've seen all night, is United fans and fucking Chelsea fans and all of them lot saying, have fun with France's second choice striker, and I'm just like, are you out of your fucking mind?
I love it, Colin. What they don't understand is that I don't think what they understand is I would say Lacazette is more in competition with Griezmann, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm. And besides that, France play with a target man, so of course they're going to pick Giroud. It's not like Lacazette is better than Giroud, so. Just because Giroud gets ahead of, Benzema, does that make him better than Benzema? No.
Absolutely, mate. Good point.
Absolutely
Good point.
Not.
Lee, massive today. Great signing. The whole fan base is absolutely buzzing. Go on Twitter. Everyone, there's no bad word to be said, except for the few melts, who are saying, "Oh, Lacazette, he ain't that good." You're always going to get a few, but if Lacazette is signed, is this giving us a clue into something else? Would Lacazette sign for Arsenal if he didn't know that Sanchez was staying? What do you reckon, Lee?
Well, that's a good point. I think that the first point that I think has got to be made is that he's a big signing. And we haven't got Champions League football, so that ends that myth. You know what I mean? It's obviously he signed because that he wants to sign for Arsenal, so that's a good sign. It does seem a little bit funny, if I'll be honest. There's lots of reports coming out that Sanchez is going to sign a new 3-year deal or something like that, just as this signing's made. So listen, I'm going to say this now. It's a fantastic day for Arsenal. It's a great. I'm buzzing and everything there, but there is a but. It's no good like signing the Lacazette and then selling Sanchez. You know what I mean? This is the next key thing is to get Sanchez signed up. And then what I've heard today is that they're still looking at Lamar, and they're also looking at Mahrez as well. So. It doesn't seem like the spending spree is just going to finish here. And I will say this, without being too negative, that Lacazette is not going to be the answer to and cover up all the problems of last season.
Absolutely.
We've got to, if we're going to be serious and look to be doing a lot, we've got to have a lot more than Lacazette. That's for certain. We've got to. In my world, I think we do need somebody like a Mahrez or a Lamar that's going to open up teams, particularly at home, when the teams come there and put 10 men behind the ball. We need someone like that that's going to open us up. So we've got it on all coming from all angles. I still think we need someone in midfield. I don't think that, I know Jack Wilshere's back in training, but I still feel that we're going to need somebody to go box to box to compete with Aaron Ramsey. Whether that'll be Oxlade-Chamberlain going into that role now, if he signs a new contract, I don't know. So I still think we need that. And the pressing problem, I'm going to be a little bit negative is the central defensive conundrum. When I look at that, we've got no Koscielny, no Rob Holding, no Mustafi, and no Chambers for the first couple of games. And if they are going to play in those games, they're not going to be ready because they've only just gone on holiday now as we start back pre-season training. So at this moment in time, we've only got Mertesacker as a central defender that's going to be fit, ready, and raring to go on the first game of the season. Of course, along maybe with Monreal. So we're still this. It's a great day for us for the signings and all that. I'm not going to get negative, but if Arsenal are going to be serious about challenging for the title, there's a few more deals to be done yet. So that little yellow band under the Sky Sports, that's got to be reeled a few more times with Arsenal on it yet before I'm going to be totally happy, Craig.
Absolutely, man. I agree with you, but something encouraging that David Ornstein, which seems to be the Arsenal Twitter oracle, tweeted out today that they're not done. Arsenal are still looking at, they're moving on to the next one. So, I mean...
Oh, and they're exciting. Isn't that great to see that? Moving on to the next one. I haven't heard that for a long, long time.
And something I want to come to now, earlier on, Colin might have seen the tweet, and you might have seen the tweet. I put out that obviously the Lacazette signing excites me. If Arsene Wenger can get Alexis Sanchez to extend his contract, not keep him here for another year, extend his contract.
Good point.
Arsene Wenger he will start to win me back round. And then, of course, you're a flip-flop. Oh, you're flip-flopping, whatever. No, I don't think it's called being a flip-flop. I think it's nice to see Arsene Wenger actually doing his job again. That's what I call it. Let's not shy away from the fact that he's just got us Kolosniak and Lacazette for a combined 52 million. And you're talking about Manchester United paying 79 million for Morata. I'm sorry, but Arsene Wenger deserves a massive pat on the back for Kolosniak and Lacazette for 52 million. Wouldn't you agree, Cole?
I admit he does deserve credit for the Lacazette and the Kolosniak thing. I'll give him credit where that's concerned. All right? But in terms of winning me back, he's got a lot to do to win me back. I mean, you have to understand, the last couple seasons, particularly last year and the season before that, were garbage. Absolute garbage. If he turns around and delivers the big trophies, and I don't mean, if he delivers the Premier League this season, I'm not expecting anything, right? I said at the end of the last season, I was going into this season with low expectations. That's still true. Because while the two signings we've made are first team starters, that it's not all we need, though, because I've said for months that we need a goalkeeper, we need a centre-back, and we need a box-to-box midfielder. Because when I look at that midfield, right, Xhaka starts for me because he should be part of a midfield four. Because as far as I'm concerned, we should be sticking with three at the back. Because it worked towards the end of last season, so why not give it a run through a whole season? What we need is a solid partner for Xhaka, and I don't mean a backup. I mean a player that starts week in, week out. None of this, like, having one player feature 1 week and then dropping him as soon as he plays well and then putting in Aaron Ramsey. None of that. I don't want that, because as far as Aaron Ramsey is concerned, I don't trust him to play really well for a full season. His track record over the last couple of seasons hasn't been the greatest, if we're honest with ourselves. You know, he's had one good season, and people seem to think that that justifies a first-team space for him. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. I mean, that year when he scored, I think, he banged in nearly 20 goals, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he scored the winner in the FA Cup final. I mean, I was trolling Madrid fans, telling them they'd signed the wrong Welshman. And then, you know, the season after, he's complete tosh. And yeah, I agree with you, mate. He hasn't been to any near that standard in an Arsenal shirt. But when he plays for Wales, seems to be able to turn it on. Lee, what would you say about Aaron Ramsey? We'll stick on the point with him.
Yeah, I think. Listen, I think if anybody splits opinions at Arsenal, apart from Arsene Wenger, it's Aaron Ramsey, and the reason that is because we all know that he's a talented player. I feel with him, the reason that he's not done the business over the last couple of years is because he's always been injured. I really do. I thought that towards the end of last season, he got himself fit, and I thought he was outstanding in the last 2 or 3 games. He's scoring goals because he was up and down. He's fit. Now, the only thing that I'm going to agree with Colin here is that you can't trust him, not on ability to last the season, it's whether his fitness can last the season. And I'm with Colin on it. I don't think that he can. I don't think that he can play like that. Even in that great season that he had 2 months out with a thigh injury, if you remember. Done it at West Ham, I think, over at Christmas, and we didn't see him for a couple of months. So I think that if we can keep him fit, and to be honest, he's had a lovely summer off, really, hasn't he? I know he's not back yet. So, you know, him and a few others have had a good summer off this season. And if we can keep him fit, you know, I think that he can do the business. But it's a massive, massive thing is if keeping him fit. But I think ability-wise, I think him and Xhaka, I felt... I said it at the beginning when I think they played at Basel away, and I see signs that it could be, even at an early stage here, they look really good that day. I think the system that we're playing now suits him. Gives him a little bit more freedom to go box to box. And I do think, you know, it's also important that his form coincided with Xhaka playing well as well. You know, Xhaka... defensively gives us a little bit of stability, and with his passing from the back there, I do feel it's a partnership that is worth persevering and having a look at. But I do agree that in both of their cases, really, I think both of them have still got a lot to prove, and Aaron probably more than most because he's been there for a few more seasons. I think, you know, everybody's expecting Xhaka after one season to come in and be a real dominant force now. I'm not so sure. I think that, you know, there's still lots of things to work on that partnership. But I think that we definitely need somebody to come in there. I believe that next season, I think it's going to be a very acute thing where I think that we're going to have to look at the Europa League and the Premier League as 2 separate teams. I do believe that. One team playing in Europa and one team staying at home. You know, I really do believe in that. So, but I've got me a positive head on about Aaron Ramsey. I think that, you know, he was outstanding in the cup final. Well, to be honest, all of them were. But you know, he's cropped up with some very, very important goals for Arsenal. And if he can just keep his fitness going, I think that we're going to be in for a little treat next season with him and Xhaka in there.
I hope so. I hope you're right, mate. Like, he's so easy to. What would I describe my relationship with Aaron Ramsey would be a love-hate one. You know, I'd love him one week and I'd fucking detest him the next week because it's just so frustrating because we know what he can do.
Yeah, exactly. He's exactly right.
Yes, on his day. I mean, look at him at the Euro. I think it was the last Euros. He was probably the best midfielder in the competition.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm scratching my head and I'm thinking, is that the same bloke that plays for us? You know, why isn't he playing this football when he's got an Arsenal shirt on? You know, people are calling him. You know, people started to call him lazy. People started to call him, you know, that he was past it, to sell him and move him on. You know, his time's over. Well, I'd have to agree with you, Lee, I think. I think if he can get a good run in the team, and definitely alongside Xhaka, and this is where I agree with Colin. Xhaka starts for me week in, week out. But like Colin said, it's just who starts with him. And for me, it's Ramsey all day long. Now, let's talk about players going out. I would imagine that Perez will go, Colin. That's probably a given. I think we've already lost Chris Willock to Benfica on a permanent deal. The goalkeeper, Colin. Now, me and Lee are on divided opinions about this. I love Szczesny. Lee has his reservations about Szczesny. Would you bring back Szczesny now that, of course, another thing I forgot to mention, another big great piece of news is that Mad Jens is back on the coaching staff.
Oh, man.
Right? And I've heard today the first thing he did was put a smoke detector in the showers. So would we have Szczesny back?
Okay. Well, Szczesny last season for Roma was very good. I'm not going to say he wasn't, because he was.
Top-rated goalkeeper Serie A, Colin. Sorry, just get that in there.
Yeah, actually the best goalkeeper in Serie A, mate. Not just the top one, the very best one. Like, better than Buffon and Donnarumma, and everyone knows how much I rate Donnarumma, and Szczesny was better than him. Like, that says it all right there. But the thing is, right, Roma have a very good coach, and it's whether or not our coach can get the best out of him. That's my only reservation with it, because I'm not so sure he can. I've got no doubt that Szczesny has the ability as a player, but it's whether or not the coach, and more importantly, the staff working with Arsene Wenger, can get that out of him. If I'm honest, I don't think they can.
But what about with Lehmann coming back? Surely Lehmann's going to take him aside. Goalkeeper's a goalkeeper. Szczesny's still very young for a goalkeeper. I rate him highly. I always have rated him highly, even when the cigarette gate was going on. He was poor. He can be poor. He can be poor, like all goalkeepers. They can all go through a barren spell, like a striker could go through a barren spell where confidence is low and everything's nothing's going right for you.
Yeah. The only thing about Szczesny, Craig, right, and this is where my reservations about him sort of come into it. He always has this little lapse of concentration in him. I don't know why. He still has it in his game now. I've seen it a few times when he was at Roma, specifically in the Champions League. I don't know what he was playing at. He went for the ball, but he tried to put it out by tackling into it, sort of. And that's the thing that sort of makes me doubt Szczesny a little bit.
And I understand that. Yeah.
Like, because how many times did he do that for us in 2014, I think it was? I lost count of how many times he'd done that. And then Ospina came in, and Szczesny didn't get a game after that. So it's whether or not he does that again. And I don't know. I'm not sure whether he'll do that again or not. I would hope not, but my heart is telling me no, he definitely won't, because he's matured. But my head is like, has he though? Or is it the coaching?
Yeah, I certainly want him back.
I'll tell you what's a good point on. Just a point that I've, just thinking about the Szczesny thing. If he's this improved over the last 2 years, how comes he's not taken Fabianski's place in the Poland team? That would worry me a little bit, because I've watched Fabianski. I think he's a good goalkeeper, but he ain't. Would you have Fabianski back at the club?
It's a good point. Now, my answer to that would be we don't know what's going on behind the door.
No, you don't. So, has he upset so many people in Poland like he has done in our... And if the fact of the matter is, I don't give a who it is, to be smoking in the changing rooms,
Oh, it's ridiculous.
game. You know, it's that realistically is a sackable offence in my eyes. You know, I know you might think that's going over the top, but you know, for a start, you're not allowed to smoke in a stadium, and there he is smoking in the showers. It's just not on. You know, and but you know, everybody deserves another chance. But the goalkeeping situation is you know, is complex, isn't it? It's very interesting to see what's going to happen. Nothing's happened yet with David. You know, so we don't know what's going on there with him. We didn't go in for Pickford, so obviously they don't rate him. They've had little rumours that Butland is going to be, they're looking at Butland, but that's going to cost a lot of money. But listen, you know, if we are going to go in with this, what I believe two teams sort of thing with the Europa League, you know, to have Szczesny playing Europa League games and League Cup games. Don't forget they're going to get a lot of games in at this sort of stage. You know, it's going to be a good move for me. And you know, with someone like Petr Cech there as well as Jens Lehmann, you know, surely he ain't going to mess about with them two about.
No, exactly. I mean, I don't think he's going to mess about with Jens Lehmann now. I mean,
no, certainly not.
You know what I mean, he comes across as being.
What is his role though? Is because someone said he's not actually a goalkeeping coach. He's more of a coach. You know,
coach. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just to have him, you know, have him there at training. I mean, the man, you know, the man's as my camera switches off, but that's all right. I'll carry on.
That looks better as it happens.
Oh, does it? Oh, thanks. Yeah. Oh, cheers, man.
Got a picture of Arsene Wenger up.
Is Arsene Wenger up there now? Is it? If you're watching live and you love my face, my apologies.
I don't think you're getting too many complaints, don't we?
No, probably not. I was just. I've lost my train of thought now.
Well, that ain't odd, is it?
You put me on. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, Jens Lehmann. Yeah, to have Jens Lehmann. I mean, the man's done it all, isn't he? Really? You know, what a man to have. Coach on the sidelines, giving advice to young players, new signings. You know, Szczesny, Cech. Great.
Well, I think it's great. I do believe that a few more of the Invincibles should be around as well, because the one thing about the Invincibles, not only was they a good side, they were obviously all winners because they didn't like losing, did they? So I think that you know, we've got Robert Perez in and around it, but I don't think that he's probably, if I'll be honest, one of the most vocal out of them all. But certainly Jens Lehmann was, and I'd like to see a few more back there. Martin Keown would definitely be one that I would like to see back as well, because I think that he's got an opinion as well. What worries me about Jens Lehmann though is that, yeah, he was very vocal, but wasn't Steve Bold when he was a player? You know, you wouldn't want to mess with him. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden he's become a shrinking violet. You know, so hopefully we won't, you know, get that with Jens Lehmann. You know, and maybe it's a long-term view that he's going to be about for the next manager as well. I don't know. You know, it's an interesting scenario, but again, I think you've got to look at it as a positive. It's another positive move, something happening in the backroom staff, and which was promised to us as well. So I have to say, it's all looking very promising.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, yeah. I mean, we were sat here. What? My camera really doesn't like me this evening, does it? It really doesn't like me. Hello again. I'm back. Yeah, things are moving in the right direction. This is good. It excites me. It makes me happy. People, you know, they call you this, they call you that. All I've ever wanted was Arsene Wenger to do his job properly. That's all I've ever wanted him to do.
And also the people in the transfer window, Craig. You know what I mean? This has been, and it's happening. You know, we're going on tour in a couple of weeks with some positivity. You know what I mean? And that's what you want. You want to be building up to the beginning of the season with excitement. And I think one thing is now, the Lacazette signing is going to make everybody excited for that first game of the season. And, you know, I've gone into the last few games with a lot of apprehension, but this time I'm going to go in there with a little bit of all. I'm looking forward to it now all of a sudden. You know, it's amazing what £52 million can do, isn't it, really?
Absolutely. And I think I've got to say this. I think we're leaving out Klosniak a bit, really. I mean, team of the season, Bundesliga team of the season.
Yeah. Looks a beast, doesn't he, by the way?
Got to be worth 30, 35 million. And we've got him in on a free, Colin. So, and he does look like a beast. I'm very excited to see him playing as well. I've got to say, that I'm looking forward to watching him break Dele Alli. Would you agree?
I tell you what, Dele Alli won't be doing those little sliding little flicks at him, will he? Like,
Well, if he does, he'll only do it once.
Yeah. He'll have all his family around as well, won't he? Like,
What are we saying?
He's a diving cheat anyway.
What are we saying, Colin? Klosniak, free transfer, a marvellous piece of business, in my opinion. I spoke to Lee about it before. Lee agrees. Yeah. I think a lot of people would agree. The man looks a tank, Colin, doesn't he? A definite upgrade on what we've got already.
Yeah, I mean, look, you get in the Bundesliga team this season. You can't be all bad, can you?
No, certainly not.
I mean, I've never seen him play personally, but unlike some people who are quick to judge new signings before they've even kicked the ball, I'm going to reserve judgment on all of our signings until they've had a full season. I did the exact same thing with Xhaka. I did the exact same thing with Mustafi. So I will do the same for our other two signings that we've made over the last month or so.
Okay, so let me ask you this question, Colin. I've stuck up for Xhaka and Mustafi in the past. People telling me that they're useless, they're a waste of money, this, that, and the other. I think next season we are going to see the best of Mustafi and Xhaka.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I'd agree with that wholeheartedly, Craig. Because let's be honest about it. We were garbage last year. The whole team was bad, So you can't blame all our misfortunes on Xhaka and Mustafi, you know what I mean? It's a collective effort, We win together as a team and we lose together as a team. It's that simple. That's why I don't put too much pressure on new signings in the first year they're here, unless they're proven talent across Europe. You know what I mean?
So are you putting pressure on Lacazette now? Is Lacazette a player that you're going to say, okay, look, I'm not going to make judgment on him for a season?
I'm not going to make judgment on him for a season.
Okay, fair enough, mate.
I'm not, because he's done it in League One and he's done it in Europe as well, sort of. But he was playing in a Lyon team that, let's be honest, wasn't the best. Now he's playing with the likes of Alexis if he stays, Ozil if he stays. And on top of that, he's going to have to get used to a whole new league. Because let's not kid ourselves. The French league is nowhere near the quality of the Premier League.
Certainly not. Certainly not physical either. So,
no, exactly. So you can't judge Lacazette off a couple of games. You've got to give him time. Like every new signing, And I don't like people that dig new signing, that dig players out before they've even signed for us. That's why I criticise the people who were giving Lacazette criticism before he signed, because it made zero sense. The arguments that they were putting forward, the argument they put forward was Giroud gets ahead of him for France. So what? You think that makes him a better player? Of course it doesn't. The only reason Giroud gets ahead of Lacazette for France is because he's a target man. That's it.
Absolutely, mate. What are we saying about Jack Wilshere, Lee?
I think just going back quickly onto that point there, which I think is relevant, is that these new signings, particularly now Lacazette and the lad from Germany, because I can't pronounce his name, but that's him. Thank you very much. That they're going to be. They're training now. They're in pre-season training. They're not coming in September when the season's already 3 or 4 weeks old. I think that's a key point. They're going to come down. They're going to train week in, week out, day in, day out. Sorry, they're going to get used to the players, and they're not going to come in when we're under a little bit of pressure because we've lost out or dropped some points. I think that's a very, very key thing there. Yeah. Jack Wilshere. That's a listen. I think Jack Wilshere. I think there's a big thing there because he's got injured again. What would have happened with him? I love Jack Wilshere as a player. I really do. He's my sort of player, tenacious, gets stuck in, but can play as well. If we could get him fit, he could do the role. He could do the role of Santi Cazorla.
Yeah,
that's the thing that he could do. But again, we've got to nurse him through pre-season, which is the worst thing that you can have for him. I think he needs to. I don't know what's going on with his situation. Whether I know he's back in training, but is he back training fully or not? I'm not 100% sure. But if we could get him back and having, say, 4 or 5 weeks training under his belt, I don't know if he's going to go to Australia. If he does go there, gets a couple of games there, a couple of real competitive friendlies, in China, because we've got Chelsea as well. Is it? If we could get him ready that sort of way, then I think that he could make an impact for us. Again, have a great conversation with someone today, about the Europa League. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Well, it certainly wasn't a bad thing for Harry Kane, because he got all of his games in there and pushed his way through there. So for somebody like Wilshere, if he plays 4, 5, 6 of those sort of games, coupled with a couple of League Cup ties as well, by about October, November time, he could be back to where we want him, and that would be a fantastic, signing, like a new signing for us to play that Cazorla. I'd love it if he come good for Arsenal and took over from Cazorla. I would love it, you know what I mean? But again, like we was talking about with the Aaron Ramsey thing, is if he can go the whole season without getting injured. And unfortunately, even last season with Bournemouth, we was all saying, oh, he's played 10 games, he's played 20 games, and then he breaks his leg again, So I do feel sorry for Jack, I have to say that. But I can't see Arsenal saying, Craig, I can't see him saying to him, right, we're going to give you a 4-year contract the way things are. I think that they're going to have to take a little bit of a gamble, if I'll be honest. He didn't cost us nothing. So let's see how he is at the end of the season or till Christmas. And then if he decides to go on a free, let him go on a free. I think that's what we're going to have to do, I think, really, on that one.
Absolutely. Just a quick good evening to all of you who are watching live. There's 158 of you watching live. So hello to 158 of you. Good evening.
158, not watching Love Island. That's what we like to see.
158 people not watching Love Island.
Fantastic.
For that. Thank you for joining.
Claude will join us in about 5 minutes. Claude will join in, watching.
Claude likes a bit Love Island, doesn't he?
Oh, he loves it.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh, fair play to him. Fair play to him. There's worse stuff he could be watching.
Yeah.
So to everyone watching us live, good evening. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
If you haven't subscribed yet, please do hit that subscribe button now. From now on, we're going to be recording the podcast live, as some of you might know, and some of you might not know. But nothing is going to be changing with the audio ones. They will still go up on SoundCloud, and they will still be available on iTunes to download. We just thought this might be a nice way of doing it for those people that don't like to download podcasts and they'd rather watch it live. Also, joining us this evening is Colin from MutchArsenal. So please follow Colin at MutchArsenal on Twitter and go over and subscribe to his channel, MutchArsenal. If you like a bit of Football Manager, Colin's channel is the one for you.
He loves it.
He loves a bit of Football Manager.
He loves it.
And also, if you love to see a Scottishman rant, go and subscribe, because when he goes off on one,
he does go off on one, doesn't he?
I love it. I love it. Passion. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's all it is, boys.
Coming back to you, like Lee says, Jack Wilshere, he could take over Santi Cazorla as well. He might come back. I'm just going to turn this camera off. It's doing my nuts in. There we go. He could come and play in Santi Cazorla's role, of course, if he's fit, 100% fit and raring to go. That's a big if. So, has Arsene Wenger got to go into the transfer market to replace Santi Cazorla now?
Yes.
I think so as well, mate. Absolutely.
It's not even a question. And as far as Jack Wilshere is concerned, I'll be honest with you, I'd sell him.
Really?
I really would. Like, what good is a player who's never around?
Yeah, true. Very true. Very true.
You know what I mean? And it's the same with Santi Cazorla. And if I'm being perfectly honest, some people might not like this, but I'd sell Santi as well.
I'll just sell him when he's not fit, Colin.
I think I agree with you, Colin. I do. I do agree with you, but it's like I don't know. It's like your first girlfriend, isn't it? You never forget them. And I can't, letting go of Jack Wilshere and letting go of Santi Cazorla. If someone says that to me, it's like no. La 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 la. Do you know when someone's talking about that kind of thing?
Who would you bring in? Right. I know you're going to say like to replace Santi Cazorla, but who would you bring in? Who would you bring in?
I don't know. I mean,
who would I bring in? I know who I bring in. You're looking at. Well, ideally, I'd like one player to replace both of them, who can do everything that those two can do, in one. That would be ideal. The two players that I would be looking at would be Naby Keita from Leipzig and Pjanic from Juve.
Yeah, Pjanic from
those would be the two players I'd be looking at.
Yeah,
because
I'd have to agree with there, mate. Especially the latter from Juventus.
Pjanic on the ball, I swear to God, he is one of the most technically gifted footballers I've seen. And I've watched him from his Roma days, when he was playing for them. I mean, Juve bought him from Roma for a reason. He was Roma's best player.
Colin knows his Italian football league, you see. He watches.
Well, yeah, I'm impressed with that. I actually, the Champions League final, I was watching him, and he was
exactly.
Yeah, there was a good team, Juventus, by the way.
Yeah,
would he leave Juventus to come to the Europa League? That's at this moment in his career.
To be fairly, right? Lacazette wanted Champions League football for a while. You remember? Now he's at Arsenal and we're in the Europa League. I mean,
I have to say,
I know why we got him, because Atletico couldn't get him because they're on the transfer ban. But no one can tell me that we need Champions League football to buy top players, because we don't. We never have, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm just saying, with Juventus, I watched him in the Champions League final, and I was very, very impressed with him.
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to leave a team like that at this moment in time to go to the Europa League, and maybe next season, maybe, you know what I mean? I just feel that if I was him as a Juventus player, I was very impressed with them. I've got to say that, and they've got a good manager, and I wouldn't want to leave them at the moment for Arsenal if I was a Juventus player, because of those scenarios. I'm talking from my head, not my heart. That's what I would say. But
the only thing about that, Lee, right? And look, I understand where you're coming from. Don't get me wrong. If I was Pjanic, I wouldn't leave Juve either. Playing under Allegri, class manager, playing with great players week in, week out. Yeah, I get that. But if you put the money up, then maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Right? And I know that's a slim chance, but, football's a world of maybes. You know what I mean?
Tell us about it, mate. We support Arsenal.
Exactly. We might win the Premier League. Do we? No. When I look at other teams strengthening, like Everton, I look at Milan strengthening, right? Milan are in the Europa League as well. Look who they're buying.
Yeah, it's a good point, mate.
It's a very good point. It's also a point is that what we said earlier on in the show, that one player is not going to just turn this season around. We're going to have to look, like things like what Colin just said there, to turn this season around for us. And as I say, I was very impressed with him. So that would be one that I would definitely look at. So we've got to sell a few players first to get these sort of guys in. But why not? Why And as you said, let's test the water. Guys, if we're going to be serious about challenging for the title, we're not just going to have to test the water. We're going to have to jump bloody in it. And as simple as that.
We're going to have to do what United and Chelsea have done, mate. Like, because when they didn't get, well, when United were in the Europa League, they splashed 89 million on Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
I mean, while I think Pogba's going to have a better season
this
year than last, we have to go out there and talk. Kolasinac and Lacazette, for me, they're just the start. We can't do what we've done in previous seasons where we just think, oh, you know what? We've signed this player. We've signed this player. We've got a good enough squad. That'll do. No, I don't want any of that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely. And that leads me on to my next topic. Lads, for watching live, if you want to send us a question, please do. If you've got your phones in your hand, send us a question to the Twitter at SameOldAFC. Please use the hashtag SameOldPod and don't DM me any questions because I don't read my DMs while I'm doing this. So if you've got a question, send one to either at SameOldAFC using the hashtag SameOldPod, or you can send one to Lee if you're following Lee. Just make sure you use the hashtag, or if you want to, you can send one to Colin as well at MutchArsenal. If you've got any questions, send them in to us. Perhaps the last 15 minutes, we will go over to the questions. Lee, sitting here at work this afternoon after the Lacazette announcement, and I'm thinking to myself, is Arsene Wenger about to reinvent himself? Is Arsene Wenger about to roll back the years? What do you reckon? Or am I just being an excitable child? I don't know. You know, it's something. It's a good point. As he laid at home and said, "Do you know what? Fuck this. I've had enough of this. This is it now. Fold into the stadium. Open the doors. Right, money. Let's do it."
I honestly think that he has. I think that he has. That's exactly what he's done. I think that he's signed a new 2-year contract with the belief is that, you know, I want the tools to be able to challenge for the title. I don't think that he's had the tools over the last couple of years because we've not had that striker. Now, the question that I think that maybe when he was sitting at home or on his holiday in the summer was that if he'd have signed Lacazette last season, I don't think he would have got the much stick as he's got now. So, you know, he's decided this season, no, do you know what? If it's going to cost me an extra few million, that's the boy I want, and I'm going to go and get him. And, you know, whatever happened last season, whether it's good or bad, you know, Arsene Wenger wouldn't have liked the criticism that was being chucked at him. He wouldn't have liked the fact that people were protesting, walking down you know, he might have tried to brush it off, but he knew what was going on there. He can't afford that to happen again because I think, being honest, Craig, he's had to fight to get this 2-year contract. I don't think he's just sort of said like, oh yeah, I'm going to sign this. He's had to come in and probably defend his corner and say, look, you know, I want this and I want that. If you give me this and give me that, then I'll deliver. And I think there is, at long last, a little bit of pressure on him.
On him, yeah.
I do believe that, and I don't think it's from the board. I think it's from the fans. I think the fans have put the pressure on, rightly or wrongly. You know, let's be honest. He's sitting there at West Brom and was it Stoke as well when the planes are going over the ground. You know, no one in their right mind would want that. And if you're sitting there knowing that you've not been given the right tools for the job and you've got to keep your mouth shut and then it's nearly lost you your job, you're going to go into that meeting and say, right, do you know what? I want the right tools. I want this and I want that. And maybe we will see a more ruthless Arsene Wenger. Maybe he ain't the one that can give out the rollickings like Pat Rice used to do, by the way. Pat Rice used to give out a few, you know what I mean? So maybe he has got Jens Lehmann in there to go in there and be like the nasty piece of work, you know. So I do believe, you know, it's not the case of if you're going to or whatever. He's got to, Craig. It's as simple as that. Because I honestly think if Arsenal continue with the way it was going last season in the league, there's no way he can stay on an extra year. The one thing is, which was very poignant when he said his contract's about it all, like, you know, is that this might not be his last 2 years, you know, but if he wants to stay at Arsenal and do 3 or 4 more years, he's going to have to earn it.
Absolutely.
And I think that it's come to that stage now where he can't get away with it. And I've got a feeling that things are going to be a little bit different this season. I'm quietly confident they are, and that's not being, you know me. I like to be a realist and everything like that. But what I'm seeing at the moment is a definite change at Arsenal, but you know, again, like we say, you know, I mean, it's that first game of the season. I expect to see a different Arsenal, a different DNA to this side. You know what I mean? Like the left back is giving us a slightly different DNA.
I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. 3 or 4 weeks ago, you said you weren't going to any Europa League games.
Yeah.
You're still not going to any Europa League games?
Still not going to no Europa League games.
What is it going to take for Lee Judges to go to a Europa League game?
When we played Tottenham.
But what has Arsene Wenger got to do to make it go to the Europa League?
I just think with the Europa League, I'll be honest, you know, it doesn't really interest me that much. You know, I'm going to say that. You know, and I don't mean to be like sound horrible by saying that. You know, like we're disrupting your life a little bit by going all on Sundays all the time. Do you know what I mean? Changing it to a Thursday. I have other things that I want to do on a Thursday. It would take. Look, I'm not saying that I'm not going to go. I think that's probably like, you know, there might be the one odd game that I'm going to go to, but I won't be going to. I've got no plans.
Yeah. Not like a Champions League season. Yeah.
No. You know, listen. A couple of seasons ago, I didn't go Champions League. I tell you that I boycotted Champions League games because I just felt that it was for the money.
Yeah.
That we was in it for, like, you know. When I see a change, and it's just, you know, I'm not convinced that it's all change at the moment because, you know, being an Arsenal fan, you always feel there's a little bit of a worry. Oh, we're signing Lacazette this week, and then 3 days later, Sanchez is leaving. You know, I'll wait till everything's done and assess it all from there, and then.
Like we said a couple of weeks ago, match day one.
Match day one. It's exactly it. You know what I mean? And at the moment, we're looking. It's looking good for match day one. Looking exciting.
Colin, what would you say on my point of Arsene Wenger reinventing himself? Has something clicked? Has the light bulb gone off? You know, has he just woken up one morning and said, well, fuck this. I've had enough of people calling me this. I've had enough of aeroplanes flying over stadiums. You know, I've had enough of, perhaps he's had enough of covering for the board. Has Arsene Wenger been the scapegoat for the board?
Nah.
You know?
Nah, come on, man. You know better than that.
No, I'm just using. You know,
I know.
Arsene Wenger was taking a hammering, and Lee rightly said, the last few years he hasn't had the tools. Okay, but to me, he hasn't done his job as good as he should have done, or as good as he could have done. Has he been a little bit of a scapegoat for the board? You know?
No. Nah. I don't buy this. He's not had the tools. Of course he has. He's had the money.
You think so?
Of course he has. Like, the board have even openly said, if Arsene Wenger wants to spend the money, we'll spend it. So it's kind of obvious where the problem lies, isn't it?
Mm.
I mean, and I don't think Arsene Wenger has reinvented himself just because he signed 2 players that I'm glad he signed them, but just because he signed 2 players, that doesn't mean he's reinvented himself.
Oh yes, I get that, and that's a great point. But he's done it early, Colin. Something we've, you know. Okay, he signed Petr Cech early and he signed Xhaka early, I think. But I mean, that was it. But this transfer window just seems different to me, mate. It really feels different.
And I want to believe you, but I can't because it's Arsene Wenger. I can't believe you. No. I can't believe you. No. Thing is, right, and I said this yesterday, I believe. I can't remember when I said it, but fact of the matter is, right, signing that 2-year extension was a selfish decision, in my opinion. It really was. Like, he didn't deserve it, first and foremost. So why is he signing a contract? Secondly, he has a lot of work to do to win me over. Like I said earlier, he's got to go and win the Premier League this season if he wants to win me back. And even then, that might not do it.
I think it's a good point, Colin's mate. But
within these next 2 years, right? If he wins the Premier League this season, right, and then goes on the next year and wins the Champions League, I know that is setting high standards, but you have to understand, I judge Arsenal year in, year out based on the quality that we have. And we have a lot of quality. Now, are we anywhere near winning the Champions League? No. But I want to see this club win the Champions League within my lifetime. And I don't think Arsene Wenger is the man to do it.
Fair enough, mate.
No, but the thing is, Colin, and I'm not sticking up for Arsene Wenger because you know my thoughts on it as well.
Mm.
Back to the matter is, he's got to start somewhere by trying to turn the fans around. You know what I mean? And I think that he's made a start. But if the season was to start now, with the signings that we've made, I wouldn't be happy because it's still not going to be good enough to win the league. You know,
yes.
At this moment in time, will Arsenal win the league? No, they won't. They need to go in 3 or 4 more players. In my opinion, after watching the Champions League final this season, you know, I mean, we're a million miles away from Juventus, and they got stuffed in that final. You know, so. We've got, you know, it's no good saying we've got to get Lacazette. Someone's just tweeted and said, you know, do you think we can get Lamar? We've got to get 3 or 4 of those sort of players. Now, this is what I'm going to say, you know, at this moment in time. Do you know what I'm going to say? I'll say it now. The Lacazette signing gives us a very, very good chance of top 4, getting back into the top 4. It really does, the Lacazette signing. But I don't want just top 4. I want us to be challenging. And I feel if we're going to be challenging, we're not going to do that with the players that we've got at this moment in time. Back up and in the team, we're going to have to look to strengthen. But in Arsene Wenger's defence, he's got to start somewhere. And I'm in Colin's camp here, that he's got a long way off before I actually convinced that he's going to do well, because I think that even if he is signing these players, there's still that little question mark about him as a manager at the moment. It really is, because, you know, we come 5th last season, and we look, you know, it took him so long to change the system. We was, you know, poor for so many parts of the season. But if he does look to change it, and it's a start, and you know, you've got to start somewhere, as I just said, and. At this moment in time, look, we're all happy at the moment. He's done something positive to us, you know. Like, I know, like Colin, you can see on his face, it's not quite everything. But
dude, this is me happy, man.
It's a start, you know. We're on the right path. We're not at the rainbow yet, though, Craig. You know what I mean? But we're on the path to it, you know, and that's what I think that where we are.
Okay. Let's get to some questions. Thank you, everyone who sent in your questions in. Very good of you. We'll get through them. Colin, we'll start with you first. This one comes in from Addy Damola. I hope I've pronounced that right, Addy. Thanks for watching, mate. Thanks for your support, and thanks for your question. Colin, do you think we're actually in for Mahrez? If so, how can we play him in a 3-4-3? And is the 3-4-3 our long-term formation? What are you saying, Cole?
I think the 3-4-3 is a long-term. At least I would like to think that it is. Where would Mahrez play? I don't know. When this whole Mahrez talk came about, I was like, 50-50 on it. I was like, if Mahrez is signing, that kind of means Alexis is off then, doesn't it?
No.
Well, I don't know.
Not necessarily. Mahrez can play on the right. Mahrez can play on the left.
Well, yeah, but then you got to think, where does, if Alexis isn't, right, if we sign Mahrez, right, and Alexis isn't leaving, you have to leave one out. You know what I mean? It's like Ozil, Alexis, Mahrez. You can't fit all three of them in a three at the back system if we're playing three up top, because Lacazette's going to be our striker. So you've only got space for two of them.
Yeah.
So you got to leave one out.
It's a good point, mate, actually. Never thought of it like that, really.
Yeah, but you've got to have, they can rotate, can't they? Like, for a start, Sanchez hasn't had a break for the last 3 years. He's not, he's not going to be actually fit at the beginning of the season, is he?
No.
So, what are you going to replace Sanchez with first? Say that Sanchez does sign on a 3-year deal. What are you going to replace Sanchez for the first couple of games? You're either going to have to chuck him in or replace him with someone like a Iwobi or a Mahrez.
Yeah.
We
are talking about squad strength. So,
yeah.
To have Mahrez.
Exactly. There's enough games to go around. I think at the end of the day, we flog Sanchez too much anyway.
Yeah.
But the flip of the coin is Mahrez going to want to come to Arsenal to be Alexis Sanchez's substitute?
Well, you don't tell him that, do you? So that's going to happen, Craig, isn't
it? Mate, he plays for Leicester. Like, come on, if I were him, right, I'd be happy just to play like, a role where you can come off the bench the last 20 minutes and make an impact. Like, don't get me wrong, Mahrez is a quality player. I'm not saying he is. I mean, I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, but he was poor last season." Well, so was everyone at Leicester.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm not buying that argument. But when I look at Mahrez, I just think, do we actually need him though?
Yeah, I'll tell you why, Colin, we need him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why we need him.
I don't know. I'm not convinced, man. I'm really not.
I'll tell you why we need someone like that, because if he's on the bench and Ozil is playing like he had for half the season last season, or Sanchez or whatever, you know that he can come on and turn the game for you. And then, it might be the kick up the backside that Ozil needs at times, And also, I don't think, people forget about it. Danny Welbeck's got to fit in somewhere along the line, So, but listen, this is what big clubs do, When Gareth Bale signed for Real Madrid, was everybody going, "Oh, what's going to happen to so and so?" Like, what's happened is that Isco's upped his game and become a player. We've got to get into this big club mentality. We want better players coming there. And if we've got a Iwobi coming on and replacing, and nothing against Iwobi, I think he's going to be a great player, but we've got him replacing Ozil and Sanchez at times. You know what I mean? Listen, we've got to replace quality with quality. So I do think that we do definitely need somebody like that, and I think he'll get his game time more than what people think they will.
Although
we're going to go that way,
the amount of money that you're spending on him, let's be honest here, you're talking 30-40 million minimum, in my opinion, anyway. Is he? I don't know. If I'm honest, I prefer Lamar. Do I think we're going to get Lamar? No. Because Monaco are probably going to dig their feet in and say to us, "We want 80 million for Lamar, pay it or you're not getting him."
Yeah. Like, we've got the money. You've got the money.
We do have the money. It's not like we can't do that. We can do that. But the question is, will we do that?
Probably.
I'm not so sure, because Arsene Wenger, I mean, I don't know what the overall fee for Lacazette was. From some people I was hearing 46. From some people I was hearing 52. Like, it depends on who you believe, really. If it's over 50, that is the first time we've spent over 50 million on a player in years. So
Ever.
Ever.
there you go. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Will we spend 80 million on Lamar? Like I said, we've got the money to do it. It's not like we can't do it, because we can. But it's a question of, will we do it? And me personally, I don't think we will. That's why I don't buy into the Mbappe talk either. I mean, I just don't see us spending 100 million on a teenager. I just don't see it happening.
Well, we shall see, mate. We shall see. Thank you for your question, Addy. Hope that gave you a good answer. This next one comes in from, I love this handle there, 100% with Tony Adams. Good evening to you, sir, and thank you for watching. Thanks for your question. Lee, what game do you think that Lacazette will make his mark for Arsenal?
Stoke.
Tonight.
I think
I'll say Leicester.
The first game against Leicester, maybe a little bit of hype and all that, like, you know, maybe not even start that game.
A nice 30-yarder.
Yeah, well, listen, if he gets up and running first game, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But I think that away from home, when there's when there's a little bit more freedom, I think that'd probably be the game where hit him on the break a little bit more. I think we'd be deadly on the break next season away from home, I'll be honest. So, let's hope it's, the Community Shield against Chelsea that he makes his mark. I know that's not a proper game, but, let's hope he gets up and running straight away. So, but I would probably, give him a couple of games before that. But then, I do think the Stoke game going to be very interesting, that, because Ozil, if Sanchez, I keep saying that, but if he does, Ozil, Lacazette and Sanchez up front, that's a three that's going to have a, like on the counter-attack, it's going to be very, very good to watch.
It's exciting.
Very good to watch.
Very, very exciting. This one comes in from at the cagiest thread. How much would we be willing to spend on, is it Pjanic? Have I pronounced that right, Colin?
It's Pjanic, mate.
Pjanic.
Yeah, just think of piano.
Piano. Okay, how much would we be willing to spend on a piano? Glosniak, being Bosnian, also could play a part in a potential deal.
Well, Juve spent 30 million on him, I believe, when they bought him.
That'd be 60, innit?
So you're looking at anywhere between 60 or maybe even 70, if you want.
Really?
Mate,
is he that good?
Yeah, trust me, he's good, man.
I trust you, mate, because I know you watch the Italian league. So we're talking 50, 60 million, 60, 70 million.
Could be 70.
Cost.
And if so, right, that for me, that's our midfield sorted. Xhaka and Pjanic, like, when I think of that, I just, it would be amazing to watch. I mean, a midfield with Xhaka and Pjanic, with Ozil, maybe Sanchez if he stays, and Lacazette up front. Jesus Christ, man.
Well, if you're getting excited about it, Colin, that's good enough for me.
Yeah. Let's get him signed. Let's get him signed.
Take it with tongue and cheek, boys. That's all I'll say.
Again, from 100% Tony Evans,
this is quality.
The Arsenal fans are going to create a boom Xhaka Laka chant if Xhaka assists Lacazette. I think that's a given.
Yeah.
I think that's an absolute given.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I like that.
I can't wait for the first song to come out about him. Actually, I mean, it's quite Lacazette. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It's going to be a tough one. But what was your little tune you were singing to it before we came on early? What was your little one?
Oh, Lacazette. Well, I can't think of it now.
Lacazette. Yeah, I was thinking, that's quite catchy.
La 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 la. No, I can't remember it. That was good, wasn't it?
It was. It was. Oh, I wish I could remember it.
Didn't I?
It was good.
Yeah.
Speaking on the players not getting enough playing time, this comes in from KG's Fred again. Look at Bayern Munich. They've got Costa and Koeman on the bench. They are a big club.
Yes, thank you very much. Exactly what I said. See, He's got the same mentality as me.
Good point. Great
good
point. Bit shy with the questions tonight, probably because I'm known for not asking them.
I've got one there, Mahrez or Lamar.
Mahrez or Lamar? Lamar.
I'm going to say Mahrez.
I'm going to say Lamar. But I would see why Lee would say Mahrez. Premier League proven.
Yeah, I'm going to go along with that. I think that he is Premier League proven.
Okay.
Player of the Year 2 seasons ago.
Both of them.
Hugely impressed with him in their championship winning season, Craig. Hugely impressed with him.
Yeah. He was a great, don't get me wrong, great player. He's a great player. And people say to me, oh, what about last year? And like Colin rightly said, at the start of the pod, they were all terrible last year. Yeah, I mean,
I honestly think he wanted to come last season. I think that
I do.
Yeah, something happened there, and we've had that same scenario with players that didn't quite do it in their final year. Thierry Henry being one of them.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to give him the little bit of leeway on that. I'm a big fan of Mahrez. I have to say that I've watched him for a couple of years now, and I think that Mahrez for me.
Mahrez is your man.
He's my man. He's my man.
Lads, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you this evening. Just before we go, apologies that we didn't do the podcast last week. I had to come back into work, so my apologies about that. Colin, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you again, sir.
Always a pleasure, never a chore.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, people, if you are watching, please go over to Colin's YouTube channel, MutchArsenal. Show him some support. Nearing on to 1,000 subscribers now, Colin. I've known you for 2 or 3 years now, and
at least
very hard-working lad. Get over, support his channel for me, please, and follow him at MutchArsenal as well on Twitter. You can also follow
He is worth a follow, Colin, because he's
worth a follow, Colin. Absolutely.
Follow
the judge.
Yeah, always follow me.
Now, an assistant manager, I think, and
yes.
Lee is the assistant manager of Arsenal Fan TV FC.
Yeah, look at that, eh? Had our first game last week as well. So
did you win?
I'll tell you what. I'll send you a little clip.
Did you win?
I'll send you a little clip of me.
Oh, you're not allowed to tell us if you won or not?
No, I can't say that at the moment,
Oh, right, okay. No. Send me a little clip then.
I'll send you a little clip.
Answer me one question. Yeah. Did Mo and DT play on the same pitch?
No.
Oh, right, okay. That's all I wanted to know.
I don't know if they're friends or not, but there was they seem to be okay with each other.
Good. That's good. That's good. I'm glad about that.
Football brings you back to harmony, like
absolutely.
Yeah. Unless you're an Arsenal fan, that is.
Yeah. Anyone watching that's not following Lee, which I imagine that's no one, follow Lee Mark Judges, please. And if you want to come and follow me, come on follow at Scotty Boy Gooner. Don't forget, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, please subscribe to us. Please subscribe to us. My journey starts again, but with Lee this time again, building a YouTube channel up from nothing to something. So let's hope I can do it again. Please give us a subscription to help me along my way. There you go. I said it. Everyone was waiting for me to say that. I used to say that at the end of every Gooner Talk video. But, yeah, we're really enjoying doing this. Like I said, thanks for everyone who's watched us live this evening. Top viewing of 250. That's amazing.
That is amazing. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you ever so much. We will see you again next week when we will be back with James Cook. James couldn't do tonight due to a family engagement, so he's going to come on next week instead. And Colin stood in for me at late notice. So thank you for that, mate. And it's been a pleasure having you on, son. A pleasure having you on.
No worries, bruv.
From me, from Lee, from Colin, good night. God bless. We'll see you all next week. And hopefully...
another signing.
Frost. We'll have another signing to talk.
Oh,
you'll never know.
Hey.
You'll never know. All the best. Good evening. Good morning. Good afternoon.